Well, good morning. It is Thursday morning, and I'm Alan Vukas, and I am so happy to join with you here on this morning as we take some time to contemplate some of the principles of prosperity as Wallace Wattles writes about in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. I'm spending some time every day, Monday through Friday, as to explore some of the ideas that Wattles writes about in his book as a way to support you and me in contemplating principles around prosperity. And why that might be necessary is because as we move through the world, we have been trained to look at the conditions of our life. We are taught we hear from the media, from the news, from teachers, from the government, even clergy. We hear messages that maybe it is the will of God, the will of the universe, for us to accept less than what is truly God's will for us. And by doing that, then we live a life that's pinched off, that is cut off from enjoying the fullness that God has for us, that has our name on it, that is our birthright. And so by spending some time every day, this is to, I'm sure you've heard the idea that if you pour water into a jug, and at first, as you pour water into a jug that's full of water, if there's any sediment, it might stir things up. But over time, then it will flush that out. And by us exposing ourselves and contemplating every day ideas that might not be the norm, they may not be the norm, but in fact they are natural to us as children of God. As we contemplate those, then it can flush out that which doesn't serve us, so that we can be in alignment with our truth. And what did Jesus say? The truth is what sets us free. So let's take a look. We have moved into chapter 6 in The Science of Getting Rich. And I'll tell you what will happen. Once we go through this, we will start back over. And today is our 11th day of doing this, and we're almost at the halfway point. But we're going to be doing this over a 10-week period as it coincides with the class of Prosperity Plus that I'm teaching at New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. If you are in Aurora, Colorado, check us out at New Dawn. It is a loving community, and wherever you are at on your spiritual path, you are welcome there. It is an inclusive place to support you in discovering your truth. Hey, Kevin. Hey, how good to see you. And check out New Dawn if you are in the area. But so let's take a look at chapter 6. Now, chapter 6 is entitled, How Riches Come to You. And as I was reviewing this, as far as to what ideas to take a look at here this morning, there's really two ideas that he has in place. He starts out, and I'm going to just touch high level on the first idea, because then I want to move into, well, there's really three ideas. But the first one, I'll just highlight. If you have the book, read it. You can go back and check it out. I was thinking about this morning. You know, if you need a copy of the PDF, you can Google it, or how about putting a message on here that you would like a copy of the PDF, and we can post that somehow on the page so you can pull that file down and you can read along. So he starts out at the very beginning on how riches come to you by offering the idea to us that since there are two types of thinking. There is competitive thinking, competitive actions in the world of where we believe that everything is a transaction and there are winners and losers. And so because there's only so much pie, this is one way of looking at the world. If we look at it only from circumstances and conditions and from the material world, or from a material perspective, then there's only so much pie. And if they get your piece of pie before you get it, well, then you are going to do without pie. That's competitive. But then there's another way of being creative. creative, knowing that we are living in a universe where this formless substance is all around us, and in fact it is a spiritual universe that receives the impress of our thought, the thoughts of form, and then brings those thoughts of form into physical manifestation. We know that everything is created twice. It's first, the chair that I'm sitting in was imagined by an engineer, a designer, who then began to think in a certain way and act in a certain way, and it was brought into manifestation. And here I am. I'm sitting on this chair. I apologize for glare. As the time of the day, I'm looking at the time on my clock, and I know as the sun moves, it's not that the house is moving, as the earth is rotating, then skylights allow in light in different ways. So if we just washed out, hey, just listen to this. So so he offers in a creative way then how to support ourselves in riches, or creating an abundant life, or making welcome the prosperity and the good that we're seeking, is to be creative. And he offers an idea that to give more value than you are receiving. Give more use value than you might be receiving in cash value, in your transactions, in your interactions with others. Now, why is that a value, or how does that work, or what is the principle there? As we begin to give in a larger way, whether giving our talents, our abilities, our energy, our resources, as we generate that within us, just like an electric plant generating electricity. It doesn't create it or bring it in from somewhere else. It generates it. As we generate that larger life within us, that living from that vision, and we begin to give from that place, give value, then what happens is then the energy that matches it begins to show up. So as we give in a larger way, we receive in a larger way. But here is the idea that I want us to leave with this morning, and this, how riches come to you. What we need to be mindful of, he says here on page 41, original substance wants to live all that is possible in you, and wants you to have all that you can or will use for the living of the most abundant life. If you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with the desire of omnipotence for more complete expression, your faith becomes invincible. What does that mean? He says here that so life is seeking to live itself through you. And if we fix that in our mind, that the desire that we feel, the desire you feel for more love in your life, the desire you feel that you have for more, it could be money, more opportunities, more business, more health, more vitality, more time freedom, more creativity in your hobbies. As that, if we fix upon our consciousness and convince ourselves that that desire that we feel is one with the desire of life itself, then our faith, our knowing, becomes invincible. He tells a story here that there was a little boy once who was sitting at a piano, and he was trying to play the music on the piano, and he's playing on the keys, and Wallace Wattles observed that the boy was getting frustrated, and he asked him, well, what's the problem? And the little boy said, I can feel the music in me, but I can't make my hands go right. And here's what Wattles says: the music in him was the urge of original substance, containing all the possibilities of life. All that there is of music was seeking expression through the child. God, the one substance, is trying to live and do and enjoy things through humanity. So through you and me, the desire that you have for better and more, it is in fact not you that is seeking and desiring that. It is life that is wanting to enjoy it through you. God, life, the universe was wanting to play the music, bring that music into the world. The desire that you have to love another person, to have the love of your life, that is life that is wanting to love another. And the one that you are, the love that you're seeking is seeking you. So not only the desire that you have to love another, that is matching and seeking the desire that is in that person. So life is wanting to express this, and we have been taught and given messages that, it is good to suffer. It is that somehow our good is not to be enjoyed now, but in some sweet by and by. Well, I've never met anyone who has ever gone to the sweet by, who has come back from there to tell me how it is. So all I've got is what is right here and right now. And I am seeking to trust that life knows the steps in front of me and the desires that I have in front of me. It is life making me aware, making you aware of what its desire is for you, through you, as you. So today what we need to do is to put aside any idea that, I wish I could have this thing. I wish I could have more love. I wish I could have more money. I wish. The desire is not an indication of a wish that it would be nice to have. The desire that you have is a revelation. It's a revelation of what this formless substance is wanting to bring into the world through you. Your desire is a message of the opportunity for you to be a channel for that to show up in the world. We need to take the desires of our heart and we need to place them on the pedestal that they deserve. This is our mission. This is our purpose. This is what God is wanting to bring into the world. And so let's today put aside any idea that it would be a nice to have. The issue that Wattles says that we have, in fact, is we don't ask big enough. We're not thinking big enough. He tells a story of there was this man who was extremely poor and he was renting this house and he was living from day to day. He was day wages. He had a job, he would get money, and he was barely keeping his head above water. And as he learned the ideas in this book, he began to think in a certain way, which is what we're talking about. He began to act in a certain way, which, hey, if you're convinced that life, it is life's promise to you to have the love, to have the opportunities, to have the desires of your heart, then you will begin to show up in a certain way. If you believed it to be true, you would begin to act a little differently, wouldn't you? If you knew that there was $1 million in your checking account, would you be holding your face in your hands when a tax bill shows up and you owe $10,000? You say, not a problem. Thank you, God. Oh, I'm so grateful that I get to pay more taxes because I've earned so much more and the money's in the bank. The desires of your heart is life's promise to you of what is yours if you act and think in a certain way. And with you and God, you're a majority. It's destiny. But here this man, he began to practice these principles. And so he says, well, what could I have? What could I have? He says, well, I can have a coal. I would like a nice coal stove to heat my house. And maybe a nice rug. And he began to act and think in a certain way. And he got his stove, he got his rug. But then he realized, I didn't ask for enough. That's all I asked for. I went to the ocean with a thimble. Today, let us put aside any thoughts that life is wanting less for us, that somehow we can imagine more is possible than what life wants for us. No, that what we can imagine is just an inkling of what God wants for you today and for the rest of your life. Let's go ahead and take a moment to anchor this in prayer. I really hope that you contemplate this. That poor man, what he went to do, he says, oh, I didn't ask largely enough. I didn't ask big enough. And so he went ahead and ended up buying that house and then furnishing it and putting in the bay windows that he imagined, or that life imagined through him. The urge of the music is the urge of life itself to express. So let's just anchor that in consciousness today. So wherever you're at, if you're able to allow yourself to just get comfortable and allow these ideas to be planted deep in your heart, not to be planted. Let's rephrase that. These truths are they are part of your nature and your soul. And today, what we're allowing to fall away are those things which hinder us from being awake to the truth. And when we are aware, when the light of awareness is shined into our consciousness, it is then we have the ability to choose. To choose what? How we're going to think and how we're going to act. So as we move within today into that place where we know that God exists, where there is peace, where there is wholeness, where there is perfection, where there is the spark of life itself, it is from that place that I speak this word here this morning for you and for me. What I know today as the truth is that God is all that there is. There is this one formless substance, this thinking stuff, this divine intelligence that's all around me and all around you. And it is guiding us and directing us and leading us today. And what I accept and affirm is that the desires of our heart, the longings, and even the discontent are messages from this thinking substance, from divine mind, calling us into the direction of our higher and our best good today. And what I affirm and what I declare is that any ideas, any agreements that we have made, either consciously or unconsciously, with some idea that less is our best, I declare and know that that is not the truth. The truth with a capital T is that God is all that there is, and what it imagines, what it declares, what it knows is the truth and reality. And we enter into agreement with that today. And that is what I know as the truth established in God is true for you and true for me. So the peace, the joy, the love, the abundance, the money, the opportunities, the business, the freedom, the time, the connections, the sharing, the warmth, the intimacy. All of this is already a reality in God's mind. And it is a reality in our heart and our minds. And it unfolds easily and effortlessly, stably, securely. It is our divine birthright. And that is what we accept. And we accept nothing less today. Nothing less than the truth. I'm so grateful that the law that knows how to make this happen has already made it so. It is the truth for you and for me. And so it is. I am so grateful for the opportunity that I have every morning here to connect with you and to share with you and to contemplate these principles and to be reminded of the truth. The world is telling us different messages than this. But at the end of the day, we get to choose how we look at it. And this, if we act in a certain way, if we think in a certain way, if we're acting in principles, then we can know that we're living in integrity. We're living the life that we have been called to live, to be, to do, to have, to enjoy. I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming video. Have a wonderful day. Peace and love. Namaste.